Right now, we are in the middle of one of the biggest revolutions in the history of medicine, and it's all being powered by artificial intelligence. Today, we're going to break down how AI is completely transforming healthcare. Everything from discovering life-saving drugs to diagnosing diseases faster and more accurately than we ever thought possible. So let's just dive right in.
So what's the big problem that AI is actually trying to solve here? Well, think about this for a second. To develop just one single new drug, from the first light bulb moment in a lab to getting it on the market, can cost up to $4.5 billion. That is just a staggering amount of money and time, and it's been a massive bottleneck in medicine for decades.
But what if you had a tool that could just shatter that bottleneck? Something that could speed up the whole process, make it way cheaper and way more effective? Well, that is the incredible promise of AI in medicine. It's offering a radical new solution to some of the oldest, most expensive challenges we face in healthcare.
All right, so here's our roadmap for today. We're going to start with the new era of medicine that AI is kicking off. Then we'll get into two jaw-dropping breakthroughs, how AI is cracking biology's deepest codes for drug discovery and becoming an all-seeing eye in diagnostics. From there, we have to talk about the ghosts in the machine, the hidden dangers, and explore how the world is trying to write the rules for this stuff, before we look ahead to our symbiotic future.
All right, let's kick things off with Section 1, a new era of medicine. What we're seeing is a fundamental shift, a real paradigm shift, moving us away from the old one-size-fits-all approach to something that is way more personal and, honestly, way more powerful.
And that something has a name. It's called precision medicine. Now, the idea here is actually pretty simple, but it's totally revolutionary. It's about tailoring treatment to the individual. So imagine a doctor being able to combine massive amounts of data, your personal genetics, your lifestyle, even your environment, to pinpoint the single best treatment that's most likely to work for you. We're not just treating a disease anymore, we're treating a person.
Okay, so let's see how this actually works with our first huge breakthrough, cracking biology's code. This is where AI is helping us solve one of the oldest and most mind-bendingly complex puzzles in all of science.
And at the heart of it all is something called the protein folding problem. You see, proteins are basically the little machines that run everything in our cells. But what they do is totally determined by their incredibly complex 3D shape. And for decades, trying to predict that shape just from its basic building blocks was a monumental challenge. So why does that shape matter so much? Because if you want to design a drug to target a faulty protein, you have to know exactly what its shape is. It's like trying to design a key without knowing what the lock looks like.
And this is where the story just gets incredible. This 50-year-old problem, a challenge that stumped generations of the most brilliant scientists on the planet, has now, for all practical purposes, been solved. AI models, like the famous AlphaFold from DeepMind, have learned to predict these protein structures with just breathtaking accuracy.
And the real-world impact of this is just immense. This isn't just some academic thought experiment. As researchers have pointed out, by predicting these shapes, AlphaFold can directly speed up the creation of new drugs for things like cancer. It helps scientists find new targets for medicines way faster than ever before.
Okay, now for the second massive application, which we're calling the all-seeing eye. This is all about how AI is basically giving doctors a kind of superhuman vision, especially when it comes to reading medical scans and making a diagnosis. And this isn't just a cool idea. We've got the numbers to back it up. One study showed that when radiologists used AI to help them, their diagnostic accuracy shot up by over 10%. I mean, just stop and think about what that really means. Fewer missed cancers, fewer incorrect diagnoses, and just better, more certain outcomes for patients. And this is where you really see the power of that human plus AI partnership. It's not just that accuracy goes up. The entire process gets way more efficient. We're talking about reading scans up to 77% faster, and, this is huge, reducing those scary false positives by as much as 83%. So, and this is a really crucial point. This is not about replacing doctors, it's about augmenting them. It's about letting the AI handle the really repetitive, routine parts of the job, which frees up these highly trained experts to focus on what humans do best, tackling the really tough cases, working with other specialists, and maybe most importantly, actually talking to their patients.
But with all of this incredible power, of course comes some very serious challenges. So now it's time to talk about the ghosts in the machine, the hidden risks, and the really thorny ethical problems that are baked into this technology.
This is a really stark and frankly disturbing real-world example of what's called algorithmic bias. Researchers found an AI tool that was being used in hospitals all over the US was systematically underestimating the health needs of Black patients. When they fixed that bias in the code, the number of Black patients who were flagged for extra care nearly tripled. It's a powerful, powerful reminder that biased data doesn't just lead to mistakes, it leads to real-world harm and injustice.
And then there's the other big elephant in the room, the black box problem. You know, a lot of these AI models are so incredibly complex that not even the people who designed them can fully explain how they reach a specific conclusion. And that creates a massive ethical dilemma, right? How can a doctor responsibly act on a recommendation if they can't explain the logic behind it? And how can you, as a patient, give your informed consent if the reasoning for your treatment is a complete mystery?
So how does this bias even get in there? Well, it's usually a pretty simple three-step process. First, it starts with biased data collection. The data used to train the AI just doesn't reflect the full diversity of the population. Second, during its training, the AI learns and actually amplifies the societal biases that are already present in that data. And finally, when you put that AI out in the real world, it spits out skewed recommendations that can make existing health disparities even worse.
Okay, so recognizing these risks is obviously the first step. The next and much harder step is building the guardrails. And that leads us right into Section 5, writing the rules for AI and the global push to get this right.
Now, different parts of the world are tackling this in different ways. In the US, for example, the FDA is focused on what they call the total product lifecycle. That basically means they're not just approving an AI device once, they're continuously monitoring it after it's on the market to make sure it keeps performing safely. The European Union, on the other hand, with their big AI Act, is sorting AI into risk categories, and for high-risk stuff, like in healthcare, they're demanding much stricter rules, like total transparency and mandatory human oversight.
And then, on a global level, you have the World Health Organization, which has laid out these 6 core principles for ethical AI in health. And they cover all the big stuff: protecting a patient's autonomy, making sure these tools are transparent, demanding accountability, and ensuring fairness and equity for everyone. It's basically a global framework, a North Star to guide how we build and use this tech responsibly.
So, all of this brings us to our final section, the symbiotic future. This is really the vision for how we can overcome these challenges and build a true, powerful collaboration between humans and machines in medicine.
And the key concept here is something called symbiotic AI. This isn't just about a doctor using a fancy new tool. It's about creating a genuine partnership. Imagine a system where the AI and the doctor are constantly learning from each other in a feedback loop. The AI provides an insight, the clinician gives it real-world context and feedback, and together they both get smarter and patient care gets better.
And that's really the big shift in thinking here. We're moving beyond seeing AI as just an incredibly intelligent tool. The ultimate goal, the thing we're striving for, is to build a system that's so reliable, so transparent, and so helpful that it becomes a genuinely trustworthy partner for doctors and nurses on the front lines. And that leaves us with one final and really crucial question to think about. This technology is, without a doubt, becoming the ultimate co-pilot in medicine. But as we start handing over more and more of the analytical heavy lifting to the machine, we have to ask ourselves, what is the uniquely human role that we want to protect, that we want to champion in the future of healthcare? That's the conversation we all need to be having, starting right now.